All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpires Zoom lunch clinic. Thanks for joining us. We've been off for the past couple weeks just with scheduling conflicts. Today, we are going to be reviewing some videos, discussing various plays that have happened, and just kind of some mechanics and approach on how to take similar plays. As always, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Otherwise, just feel free to chime in. And we're here to help answer questions and things like that. So we'll start off with this one. We are in extra fun here. We have a runner on third base only. We're in the bottom of the 10th with 2 outs. And I'm just going to play the video. We'll play it through once. And then we'll just kind of talk about it. Batter lays down a great bunt. Play it one more time. All right. Connor, you want to start?
Sure. Can I play this on my own? I cannot.
No, I'll hit just, I got you.
Okay. All right, pause.
Yep.
So, we got a squeeze play situation. I'm going to break it down from the very basics. On a squeeze play situation, let's see, I'm trying to get here, 2-person.
No, we're in 3. Oh, yeah. Yep. So base umpire would be
in C.
Yep.
And probably deep C in this situation for most people. So we have to help with a couple things as the base umpire. Number one, we need to start crashing in towards the mound on this play, because we will have to help with potential batter interference on this play. Because if this goes anywhere other than right back to the pitcher or in the V, we're going to need to come with information. Now, lucky for us, it's right back to the pitcher. The plate umpire in this situation has to umpire what's going to hurt them the most. There's 2 outs. What's going to hurt the plate umpire the most here on this play? Is it the potential? It starts with the potential batter interference, right? Or batter runner interference. If it bounces straight down, drops a bat, whatever, right? That's going to hurt us the most in the beginning. And then the next thing that's going to hurt us the most is the squeeze play. The tag of R3. Who can get batters lane interference? Anybody from anywhere. All it is the ability, it's the batter runner running illegally, interfering with the ability of the first baseman to catch the throw, to receive the throw. So, now granted, every level is going to be a little different on what constitutes interference and what constitutes the ability to receive a throw. But for the most part, it's pretty black and white, right? Batter gets hit by the thrown ball. Batter contacts the fielder or is running right at the fielder on a play coming from the plate area. And we have that, right? So at C, if we crash towards the mound, we can help umpire that aspect as well, which we need to do. Now, if this R3 decides to get in a rundown, well, then we just take 3 steps towards third base and get in a position to help with the rundown. So as a plate umpire, knowing that we've got the base umpire coming in to help in this situation with some of that other stuff, to clearly hindering the catcher and the runner's lane interference, every field you're going to be able to tell if the runner's in the running lane or not, no matter where you're at. That's very easy to see from any position on it. Unless you're in like the outfield, you're going to be able to tell. As a plate umpire, you can also just peek up the line from wherever you're at. You don't have to be on the line to determine if he's in or out of the runner's lane. Very simple. Now, with that being said, we are going to start point of plate because we have to be able to rule fair foul. Once we realize the ball straight, it's fair foul is not threatened, I'm going to actually get in the left-handed batter's box for this play. Because I have to be tight. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to move. And it's also going to put me in position to peek up the line if we have a secondary throw. Now, it's not a force, so we're going to have a tag play. We're going to have a swipe tag. So I'm going to work off the catcher and try to get basically to where that bat is probably. And the runner is going to do something different than he does on this play, most likely. Ideally, they're going to slide, which they do not in this. If they slide here, it's easy, right? If he slides, this is an easy play. He's safe by a mile. He doesn't, which allows the catcher at a tag attempt. By standing first baseline extended, we let the runner cross in between us and the tag point. So if we get to that third base point, if we at least stay point of plate, we're going to have a pretty good look at this play. If we get third baseline extended, we're going to have a really good look at this play. And we're also going to have a good look at the runner's lane interference. Now, this play happens with 2 outs. Let's say there's 1 out here. We still have runner's lane interference in play. So keep that in mind. Now, let's say he's safe here, and then we have a throw to first for the force at first. Does that, and we have batter runner interference, does that wipe the run off the plate, off the board? Anybody know the answer to this other than Jake? Or I don't even know. Jake knows the answer to this.
You have runner's lane interference on this, you said, Connor?
Yep. So let's say he's safe at the plate, and we throw down and we hit the runner in the back who looks like he's illegal as shit on this play. I'm sorry, illegal on this play.
Connor, I'm just gonna throw an answer out there. I'm gonna say no, and it's gonna become a time play at that point.
Ooh, why is that? You're right, but why are you right?
Because the interference hasn't occurred yet, and you're negating the force out at that point because you're calling the interference, not the force out. That would be my logic to it.
So what makes this a time play is the fact that there's an intervening play prior to the interference.
It's just kind of like that the foul ball stolen base in the 17th inning of the Vanderbilt game a couple weeks ago.
That's not an intervening play, Jake.
Well, but it's the same. I guess it's the same concept of sorts, just without the ball being put in play. Because the base in that play, the base was acquired first, and then just like how the run scored first here before the.
So, by that logic, you're telling me that if he scores, there's not an attempt to make a play on him. We have interference. We're going to score that run.
I would score the run personally, I think.
So
because it happened before the interference.
If we don't make an attempt on the runner at home and we have interference at first base.
If we don't make an attempt, no, we're not scoring that run. I didn't understand.
That's why it's not the same play. It's not the same concept.
Okay.
We attempt to retire a different runner before we attempt to put out the batter runner.
Gotcha.
So he would be out, the runner would score, and the game would be over, I believe. I don't know who's wearing what jerseys, but it's the bottom of the 10th, so yeah, the game would be over. Any questions on this play?
Yeah, I've got a question. You were talking, are you saying that U2 should be in C instead of D down there?
So in a 2-man crew or 2-umpire crew, you would be in C.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but in 3-man, he should be over where he's at. Yeah, okay.
Where he should be in three person, yes.
Yeah, this is a 3-person crew.
Right.
Trying to relate it to the majority of what we work.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm trying to think what else we got. We could.
I've maybe got one.
Okay.
Let me
You
see
want
if
to
I
share
can
your
pull it up.
screen or you want to just tell me?
I will share my screen because it's not on
Cool.
YouTube. Do-do-do-do-do. Da-da-da-da-da.
Is this your play from Creighton?
Yeah.
Sweet. I've been waiting to see
So
this video.
we are top 9. I think it's a 9. Greg Council's kid is up to bat. Why is it so choppy? All right, this isn't gonna work like I thought it was. I'll have to try to upload it.
Okay.
Pick one from the list.
I got a batter interference when we can do still.
Okay.
Baith, you got time? You still here?
Yeah, we want to talk about mine from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I got it pulled up right here. Let me just share my screen. This is one of the beautiful parts is like all of our games are recorded, and so we can just, and I got that whole spreadsheet. All right, Baith, why don't you take us through here? You're on the pads here, aren't you?
No, I'm on the dish.
You're on the dish, okay. That is
A
really
3-2
choppy.
pitch, 1 out, guy on first. R1 is stealing on the pitch. We have a batter swing and miss, and then walk in front of the catcher. Which, as you can see
Thanks
there,
for
the
the
batter
names.
doing so in. Okay. So as you can see, he hinders the catcher's ability to throw this baseball cleanly to second base. Batter is already out on strike 3 on the swing and miss. So he's already out. Now he interferes. So due to the batter already being out, that being strike 3, and the interference, we have to go and grab the runner R1 out at second base for the batter's interference. We can't penalize him. He's already out. So we can't double him out. So we go and get the runner. If that hadn't been strike 3, if that had just been strike 2, we would get the batter out there for interference, return R1 back to first base.
So we'll follow this playthrough because we'll kind of talk about how we assess it. You do a good job coming out and grabbing that. Your point.
Here comes here comes the coach from the offensive team that's just got 2 outs on that. He wants to have a little chat. His first question is the first question you're going to get every time when you get asked, when you make this call is, was there contact? There doesn't have to be contact. He just has to hinder the catcher's ability to throw the baseball, impede. Which he did. You don't have to have contact to catcher interference or batter interference on the catcher there.
Any questions on this as far as the rule? If I ever decide to throw a really nice legal term in, this is the rule that I love throwing legal terms in on. This I like to call this a strict liability offense. The catcher or the batters, I mean, you don't need the contact. So if he's out in front of home plate, an obstruction hinders contact's completely irrelevant. So it's a pretty much automatic gimme at this point.
So what can the batter do to avoid interfering? To avoid being guilty of interference? There's only one thing they can do. Stay in the box and not move.
Right. Swing the bat and stay in the box.
And not move. So let's say the batter swings, misses, tries to back out of the box to give the catcher a throwing lane. The catcher decides to step back to throw. Boom, that's interference.
Yes.
What happens if the batter swings, ducks to try to avoid the throw, catcher pops up, skips it off his helmet? Time, that's interference. Because it's an action that interferes the fielder's ability to throw the baseball. So look, we can't expect them to disappear. That's why if they just stand there, it's nothing. Even if they get drilled in the head with the baseball, it's make a better throw. But if they do anything other than stand there, they can be guilty of interference.
And the few times I've called this has been when the batter's dugout is on, either the first, the right-handed batter, their dugout's on the first base dugout side, and he's already starting to walk toward the dugout.
Yeah.
I love that you say that, Brad, because that was the defense that came from the assistant coach in the dugout on this call. He's coming back here. What's he supposed to do? Stay in the box and make a throw. Then he can walk to the dugout.
I can hear a specific assistant coach saying that. I know exactly who said it too.
Yep.
Connor, this is video 4 from like 2 weeks ago, just for reference. This is the play at the plate one.
Yep.
Kind of figured we kind of talked this one through since we haven't fully digested the one we were talking about earlier today. This would be a really good video to talk about for a play at the plate. This is obviously a 3 or 4 umpire crew. So the mechanics of this, we're not really going to talk about as much. We're going to talk more about the rule side of this. And we can talk a little bit about how to take the play at the plate. So I'm going to, I wish this would let me, oh, it does let me do a little bit better. So runner on first, center fielder boots the ball. Got a relay throw at home. Tag is made. So we'll watch it one more time. I'm first going to say this is very good positioning by the home plate umpire. So we're going to talk specifically about the play here at the plate. Connor, I will I'll stop it as best I can. Okay. You good with that picture there? Or you want me to go a little bit further?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Go for it. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to talk about it.
No, this is
All
you,
right.
buddy.
So, federation rule, I'm not 100% clear on this, but we're going to talk about it as if it's all the same rule set. So we have to give a path to the entire plate, correct? Not just a path.
I believe federation is the entire plate.
We have to give the entire plate to the runner attempting to score. Now, the federation rule is that you cannot block the plate without possession of the baseball. Firm and secure possession, right? Then we can be in that path. And we have to have firm and secure possession before contact. And I would even go so far as to say before the batter runner enters the dirt circle. Because they've already begun their slide. When they enter the dirt circle, they're beginning their slide. They're committing to where they're going. So we have to have possession of the baseball, firm and secure possession of the baseball prior to blocking the plate when they enter the dirt circle. Now, back it up. Can you back it up like 4 seconds?
Back up 4 seconds.
Or back up just like 2 frames.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love the 4-second backup from RefQuest.
Go a little further. A little further. Okay, now can you go back like half a clip?
Try.
Go a little further. So if I, as a catcher, possess the ball right now, can I be blocking the base path to receive that? Yeah. At this point, I'm not preventing the runner from doing anything. It's when we get to go forward like to 13 seconds. Okay. And you go back like a second. Right there. Sorry, didn't realize you were super slow. So right here is when, go one more.
I gotta find my tracker here. I got my Zoom controls are in the wrong spot right now.
Gotcha.
Right here?
Right here. So we've started our slide, right? So now in high school, we have to have the baseball by this point in order to be where we're standing as a catcher. If we don't, I'm going to book that as obstruction. Because once I start my slide, I can't change direction, right? I've committed to where I'm going, and you're illegally preventing me from getting there. Because contact's going to occur. You go full speed and stop at contact.
We'll back it up to the point of contact.
See right here, this is point of contact. So did the catcher have to go there to field that baseball? No, he did not. Did he possess it when we started our slide? No, he did not. So per Federation rules, this would be obstruction. And obstruction in high school is an automatic dead ball. And we are going to award 1 base in the last legally touched at the time of obstruction. So we are going to score this run. Now, we know our batter runner was on second base. He's not forced, so he's going to stay put or return to their base last touched at time of obstruction. I'm 99% sure that it only applies to the runner being obstructed, not every runner. Now, if this runner's on third, or let's say this runner's in between home and third, and we obstruct the batter runner after they reach second base, then we would score the run because the batter runner would be awarded third. That makes sense to everybody?
Yep.
Somebody knows high school rules might be able to tell me I'm wrong on that one.
Delayed it. It's type B. They
Oh.
don't have the type A.
That's right. They don't have immediate dead for obstruction. It's all live ball. Sorry. Thanks, Grant.
So
But it's always going to be a 1 base award, minimum 1 base award.
yes, they have. Yep. As opposed to OBR and NCAA, where if I remember, the old PBUC manual uses the term customary 1 base award. So at the end of the day, this is obstruction.
On this play, though, that's obstruction. We're going to call time here. We're going to kill this play because he was ruled out. That makes sense to everybody? So because he was ruled out, we have to call time and then award home. Now our batter runner's not going anywhere. He's standing on second base. So we're good. It's delayed dead until that runner is recorded out. If they don't, then we just leave it live and it's nothing. So if he had been obstructed rounding third, after he rounded third, and then thrown out, we would grant him home no matter how close that play was. Because it's an automatic 1 base award in high school.
Correct.
Now, if has not reached third base, and he's obstructed before reaching third base, and he gets thrown out by a mile, then we have some decision making to do. Did that obstruction cause that play to be that obvious? If he trips and falls and eats crap and face plants and gets up and runs and is thrown out, maybe. There's a 100% chance that could have been that he could have been safe, not would have, but could have been safe at home. So you have the ability to grant him home. If he has to take a 2-step detour around the third baseman before he rounds third and then is thrown out, the catcher has the ball by when he's 30 or 60 or 15 or whatever you think is reasonable, then he's probably just going to be out at home. Because we're only protecting him to third base in that situation. Because he probably, if he has to take 2 steps around the third baseman, he's probably not obstructed more than 15 feet, maybe 30. Whatever your judgment is. You have that judgment as the umpire, and you say, Coach, in my judgment, had that obstruction not occurred, he could have been safe at home plate. The reason we're scoring him is because we'll never know, and there has to be a penalty. You can't just be out. The plate umpire does a really good job of staying point of plate until that play develops.
Steps into the
And then
hip pocket.
works around to see the point where the tag is going to be applied. This is why we don't always stay attached to the glove arm of the catcher, because the catcher went into foul territory. Well, if we go into foul territory and work around the other side, we're never going to have an idea on if the foot beat the tag.
It's Connor, this is a perfect example of something that a very well-established umpire has told me numerous times is you want to stay 180 degrees away from that tag. You can see that perfectly. You step right in there and get that. It's a beautiful view.
I will text the umpire that told us that and said we missed his presence today.
Perfect.
So
If anybody doesn't know who this umpire is that we're referring to, it's Mr. Daniel Adkins.
So watch the plate umpire signal here, right? Boom. Very simple.
Oh, here, I'll back it up to we got to go to that
Live play.
overhead. Yeah, we got to go to the overhead shot here.
Get set.
Drops
Boom.
hammer.
Not every play deserves a punch out. Some do. This play isn't particularly close. We still have to be emphatic with our signal, but we don't have to be dramatic. Always make sure that your signal the intensity of your signal matches the intensity of the play. This play is not very intense, but it is a big moment, so we have to be a little bit more of a salesman or salesperson. But we don't have to gear up and punch out and accidentally punch the catcher's glove and knock the ball loose on this play because we get too excited. We can just boom, hammer it. Yep. Be emphatic, be firm, in control, hammer it out.
All
Two
right.
questions.
Go ahead.
First, so in high school, are you verbalizing, as you see, this is a pretty obvious one that the catcher's there way too early. Are you verbalizing anything prior to the ball getting to him?
No.
Okay. Alrighty.
Brad,
Second-
at what
Because-
point in time would we have the obstruction? I'm assuming that you're asking about like verbalizing the obstruction. So my question is, at what point do we have obstruction that we could call? And so I'm not going to do anything until there's actually a by rule obstruction. Because the way that I understand, and I've understood the rule for years is if had that catcher gone up and went, oh crap, and took a step forward, and then the runner had a clear path to the base, we got nothing. And so I'm going to wait until we actually have obstruction to call the obstruction.
Okay.
What was your second question? Or go ahead,
Second
Connor.
question is, you talked about the runner being obstructed going into third base, and you might give him 15, 20 feet after third base. If he's going back to the base, is he protected? Back to third base?
So that's the great thing about the high school rule is it's automatically one base, no matter where they're going. If they're obstructed, it's one base beyond the last legally touched base at the time of obstruction. So if he gets obstructed going back to third or back to first, it's obstruction, advance him. It is weird. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
But if he's obstructed going into third base and then goes beyond it, that extra, starts toward home and then decides to come back, he's not protected at that point. Because he's already touched third and gone beyond his protected base.
So you're saying if he's thrown out at third?
Yeah, so the obstruction happens 5 feet before third base, he touches third base, rounds it, takes, 3-4 steps toward home and then turns around and tries to get back to third and they throw him out going back into third base.
What would have happened without the obstruction in your judgment?
He would not, if my feeling would be if I judged that he was not going to make it to home, then he would be out, would be my understanding. But if I had him potentially making it home, in my judgment, then I would give him home. That's how I would handle it.
So the obstruction occurred before third base. So here's my question. If he's not obstructed, what happens? In your scenario, if he's not obstructed, what happens?
Right.
Does he return to third
scenario
safely?
that I gave, he
Okay.
would not have
No.
made it home.
We're not talking
even
about
with-
home.
Without the
Brad.
obstruction.
Red, forget home.
Okay,
What would have happened had he not been obstructed? What would that runner have done?
he
have
would
gone
just
back
have
to
made it to
safely?
third base. Just
He would have gone
made
back to
it
third safely, right?
Yep, right.
So did that obstruction prevent him from being able to go to third safely?
No.
You don't think it did? You don't think him tripping and rounding third slowed him down enough to get that ball back to third to tag him out?
Okay, from that perspective, if you're saying it that way, that yeah, that's a little different scenario than I had presented. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Because he could be obstructed just enough that it, it slowed him down. That's what goofed up his balance, so he couldn't get back to third safely.
Yep. So
What you're saying.
whatever
Then he would be
action,
okay.
whatever penalty would nullify the act of obstruction is what we're going to enforce.
Okay,
And it's at least one base beyond. So I'm going to call time and I say, you're at third. Well, coach, in my judgment, had he not been obstructed, he would have returned to third safely.
yeah.
But since he got
okay.
obstructed, there has to be a penalty. So your penalty is he's going to third. Because he was obstructed before reaching third base.
Okay, that's logical.
All right, Connor, I think we got time for one last video. Bert, what time did you get to the bird cage at on Monday? Were you there for the first pitch?
Who are you asking?
Bert,
No, I was not.
you weren't. Okay. I was going to be curious because where Bert was at and where I was at, Bert had the 180 look of this play that I had. So if he was going to be here for it, I was kind of curious to see what he had. So the reason that I think this is a really good training play is two reasons. Number one, weird stuff happens on the baseball field all the time. And we have to be ready from pitch one. This is the fifth batter of the game. And this is game one of a doubleheader, fifth batter in the top of the first inning. And it's a weird play. Number two to take away from it is timing. Timing is not when you signal safe or out. It's when you determine what the call actually is. And I think a third takeaway from this is just take your time, get all of the information out, and make sure that you have everything legal. Okay. A catch by definition is a firm and secure possession of the ball and a free and voluntary release of the ball. Okay. So we'll be concentrating.
That's a catch of a batted ball, Jake.
Okay.
We have to have established firm and secure possession of the baseball for the thrown baseball.
Okay. So we don't need the free voluntary release, which doesn't, it's not relevant here because we don't have firm and secure possession in this case. So we're gonna have a ground ball to the right side of the infield. First baseman and second baseman converge. The pitcher comes over and they both crash. The pitcher gets the ball and bobbles the ball the entire way through the base. And if you watch closely about where my cursor's at, you can see the ball trickle out and away. So this is one of those weird plays. Because nobody, I mean, when I saw this ball off the bat, I read 4-3 put out. And so I took my normal step where I would be at for, just a routine ground ball to the second baseman. I did not expect the first baseman to crash like he did, and then to have the pitcher come over. And so had the pitcher held on to the ball, I had an out. And I was able to slow this down frame by frame and confirm that. But we have the ball was never firmly possessed by the pitcher. And so as such, we had a safe call. Thoughts on this, Connor?
Yeah, I got a couple.
I'd love to hear them.
Go back. And I didn't look at it that closely when I watched it last night. Pause it right here. Okay. So your initial positioning, what does Jake keep doing as the play develops? Just play it out. He gains ground towards first base. Any ball to the second baseman, I'm going to lose ground to first base. So I am going to, like first or second base, going to the hole, right? I'm going to work back away from the base to allow a much wider frame of vision on this play. Jacob gets taken out by the pitcher who trips over first base, which you can't control somebody else's body. But if we move back, if we work towards right field on this play, all we have to do is pivot our head when that throw is made. So I would either work directly at the second baseman or deeper. So on this play, obviously it's a slow chopper. We can just move directly towards second base from our initial position. If that ball takes him more to the hole, we're going to work deeper. Pause it, Jake. Sorry, I got to find my... Uh-oh, what happened? All right. So I am going to work... I'm going to work here, 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 or here if I'm Jake on this play, depending on where that ball goes. So if that baseball, find a different color than green here. If that baseball's hit here, I'm going to work deeper off the line. So I'm going to go this way with the baseball, right? This chopper's hit here. So I'm simply going to go take steps directly at him. I don't need to close down on first base. That does me no good. That puts me in a bad spot for a potential, right? Because that runner's running straight down the line. If I'm tight to the line and I've got a pitcher covering and a runner, I have to hope that they split me once they touch the base. The closer I am, the harder it is for them to do that. So I'm going to give ground to first base to get an angle. So all I have to do is turn my head slightly, as opposed to if I'm tight, now I got to go from here to here and hope that I beat the baseball there. I think you got the play right. I think you continue to umpire it past the conclusion or through the conclusion of the play. But things that make that play a little bit easier and put you in a little bit safer position, the better off you're going to be.
Hey, I appreciate what you said. I noticed that as well, that and I will say, I don't think the camera angle does a lot of justice because of where it's at. I think the pitcher landed about 3 feet from my feet, which I felt was too close. So yeah, I had never considered working back on that. Like I think that's a better way to take that play. So I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Because if he doesn't trip over the base, what happens? He might run you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's
The kind of stuff happens too.
yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna quick stop the video here. So thanks guys for joining us, and then I'm gonna make one more comment off recording. So thanks guys for joining us. We'll be back next week.